I am here and ready to go, mostly. This is actually my first time streaming by myself. So I am really excited, and I'm glad that you guys have tuned in to watch. So what we're going to be playing is Dragon Age Origins, which is one of my very favorite games, and I hope it's one of yours. It should be. No. So yeah, we're going to be playing that, and I will be being very silly, most likely, because that's just sort of the default setting. And here we go. I have already made the character, but I didn't finalize so that we could see the whole thing. So let me get that there. So this is the character that we're going to be playing. I'm calling her River because she's for a stream. Get it? Anyway. So yeah, so she is a noble, human noble, and the human noble was actually the first character that I ever played in this game, and so I yeah, the dad jokes. I played this my very first playthrough. I like rogues because I am impatient, and I like to be able to unlock the doors myself. So I made a human noble rogue. I have not played one since that time, and that was long before I ever learned the joy of mods. So I've got a lot of mods going in this game, and I will get at some point a list of all the mods that I'm using so that if anyone's curious, they can check it out. But for now, this is our River Cousland that we are going to be playing with a very cool hairstyle that I downloaded because as much as I love BioWare, hairstyles, not their thing. So I don't like to do quick play for one very important reason. I don't so much care about the points. I mean, it's important, obviously, but I just sort of kind of put them wherever. If you're looking for the Uber Elite Nightmare mode, by the way, you're probably going to be disappointed. I hope that you'll enjoy it regardless, because I hope that you'll find me amusing or entertaining, I guess. But yeah, Uber Elite is not my default setting, so I like to play things to have fun, and so I feel like everyone should. That's what games are for. You should play to have fun, and if you are having fun and you're playing on nightmare mode, or you're having fun and you're playing on casual mode, or you're playing all in one sitting, or you're playing an hour a day, however it works for you, however it's fun for you, that's the point. So I play because I love the lore and because I love the stories and the people. So while the combat is great and fun, that's not my purpose. So that's where we're at with this. So I've placed my points, and this is the reason that I don't do quick play, because I like to put my first point in coercion. I like to be able to make people do what I want. Anyway, so we've got our points there. We'll put something in lockpicking, of course, and we probably should put something in, a weapon skill, kind of important. And so we'll go with pinning shots, because I like to be ranged most of the time, because I like to stand in the back and not get hit. So that is where I am at. So let's play. And yes, I am going to play on easy. I enjoy it more that way. Our purpose, like I said, is talking about the lore and having fun. And it is not within my capability to play on really hard mode and still talk at the same time. So easy it is. And away we go.
For generations, your family, the Couslands, has stewarded the lands of Highever, earning the loyalty of your people with justice and temperance. When your country was occupied by the Orlesian Empire, your father and grandfather served. Today, your elder brother takes up House Cousland's banner in service to the crown, not against the men of Orlais, but against the bestial darkspawn rising in the south.
I trust then that your troops will be here shortly.
I expect they will start arriving tonight, and we can march tomorrow. I apologize for the delay, my lord. This is entirely my fault.
No. The appearance of the Darkspawn in the south has us all scrambling, doesn't it? I'll send my eldest off with my men. You and I will ride tomorrow just like the old days.
True, though we both had less grey in our hair then, and we fought Orlesians, not monsters.
At least the smell will be the same. I'm sorry, Pop, I didn't see you there. How, you remember my daughter?
I see she's become a lovely young woman. Pleased to see you again, my dear.
Generally speaking, in my first playthrough, I try to be nice, but this is for entertainment, so I'm not going to be nice. Was I brought here for a reason?
Since your brother is leading our forces south and I'm going with the Owl, I'm leaving you in charge of the castle.
What? Why can't I go into battle with you and Fergus? This is an equal opportunity fight.
I'm certain you'd more than prove yourself, but I am not willing to deal with your mother if you join the war. She'd kill me if I let you go. She's already twisted into knots about Fergus and me going.
I won't go so far as to pick, if you don't send me, I'll kill you. I think that might be a bit much. And, well, we won't say any more about his lifespan just yet. Anyway, let me talk to her. I'll convince her.
I doubt that. You know your mother, and she made it clear there is no debate. This is no needless task. I ask you to take a great responsibility. Only a token force is remaining here, and you must keep peace in the region. You know what they say about mice when the cat is away, yes? There's also someone you must meet. Please, show Duncan in.
It is an honor to be a guest within your hall, Tyrn Cousland.
Your lordship, you didn't mention that a Grey Warden would be present.
Duncan arrived just recently, unannounced. Is there a problem?
Yeah, is there a problem?
Of course not. But a guest of this stature demands certain protocol. I am at a disadvantage.
We rarely have the pleasure of seeing one in person, that's true. Pup, Brother Aldous taught you who the Grey Wardens are, I hope.
Well, we like Duncan, so we'll be nice to Duncan. They're an order of great warriors.
They are the heroes of legend, who ended the Blights and saved us all. Duncan is looking for recruits before joining us and his fellow wardens in the south. I believe he's got his eye on Sir Gilmore.
If I might be so bold, I would suggest that your daughter is also an excellent candidate.
Honor though that might be, this is my daughter we're talking about.
Dad. I think I rather like that idea, Father.
I've not so many children that I'll gladly see them all off to battle. Unless you intend to invoke the right of conscription.
Have no fear. While we need as many good recruits as we can find, I've no intention of forcing the issue.
Pup, can you ensure that Duncan's requests are seen to while I'm gone?
Oh, yeah. Oh, wait, no. I mean, yes, of course. I'll, yeah, Yeah, of course.
In the meantime, find Fergus, and tell him to lead the troops to Ostagar ahead of me.
Are you trying to get rid of me? No, we'll go. But I'd like to stay and talk to Duncan. Boy, would I.
You'll have plenty of time after we're gone.
Good
We
point.
must discuss the battle plans in the south. Be a good lass and do as I've asked. We'll talk soon.
All right, we have control of our character now, and we can start moving around and doing stuff. And the first thing we're going to do is talk to everyone instead of going to do what we're told. Because, as everyone knows, in any RPG, the last thing that you want to do in any case is what you're supposed to be doing. So first, we'll bother Father again.
Shouldn't you be off to your brother, as I asked?
Are you sure you'll be all right?
Your brother and I go into battle, not an afternoon tea. Who knows what will happen to us? I will tell you, however, you're my darling daughter. I love you, and I trust you completely to carry on the Cousland name if the worst should happen. But don't worry about me, dear girl. You'll have enough to occupy your mind while I'm gone.
Where do you think Fergus is?
Upstairs in his chambers, no doubt, saying goodbye to Oriana and your nephew.
Not to second-guess you or anything, but is sending all of our forces south a good idea? Maybe some should remain to guard the castle later today.
When the king demands it. In fact, not sending our forces south would be a distinctly bad idea. Don't worry, pup. You shouldn't see many problems, but I want you to prepare the men left here.
Last words.
In case.
In case of what?
Legends of the Blights tell of horrible things. These darkspawn once threatened many lands. If we can't hold them, you must prepare for the worst.
And what can I do with a handful of guards?
I trust you to do what is best. And don't be afraid to ask your mother's advice. She's Ferelden-born, strong, just as you are. But let's not speak of ominous things. We shall assume that all will go well, and the Maker will watch over us.
Yeah, Mother is a badass, so that's a fair point. We'll find at some point, most likely, I'm not sure where we run into it, but there's a song called The Soldier and the Sea-Wolf, and it is actually about our River here, her parents, the father, the dad, and the mom of the Couslands, and it's about their dashing battles when they were in the war against Orlais before the kids were born and made them all old and stuffy and boring. Anyway, I'll go now.
I'll talk to you soon. Just let me finish my meeting with Duncan.
All right, but I'm going to meet with him first. I'm going to start by looking back here. Just look at him for a moment. Shall we? I do love that armor so much. That is a mod, obviously, and it's the Grey Wardens of Ferelden mod, and I don't think I could play without it at this point, because it's seeing the Grey Wardens in the matching armor like that is just, it's just too cool. So, let's talk to Duncan.
I'm sorry, but I believe your father wishes to talk to the Arl and myself alone.
Well, I'm sure he has a little bit of time. I was hoping to ask you a quick question or two.
Very well. I doubt your father would mind a slight delay.
Are there really darkspawn in the south?
Indeed. We spotted a horde assembling in the Korkari Wilds not 3 weeks ago. Luckily, King Kaelan took us at our word and marshaled Ferelden's forces quickly. The first battles have already been fought. Your father and I must move quickly.
How many darkspawn are there? How many does it take to change a light bulb? No. How many are there?
Thousands. Perhaps 10,000 or more in this horde. Normally the darkspawn stay in the deep roads. It bodes ill that so many risk the surface.
How much danger are Fergus and my father in?
Well, I understand the first battles have gone easily.
Indeed. Are the Grey Wardens sure this is a blight, and not simply some large darkspawn raid?
No archdemon has
shove
been
it,
sighted
Hal.
yet, my lord. But with my entire soul, I believe this is a blight.
I wish we shared your faith. I suppose we shall see for ourselves once we arrive at the king's camp.
Yeah. You know when a character is voiced by Tim Curry, who is amazing, by the way. The work is just fabulous. But it does sort of give you an impression of what type of character you might be facing. Anyway, Duncan, would you really recruit me into the Grey Wardens? If not, it's going to be a really short game.
Of course. You are young, skilled, and eager for battle, or so I heard. The Grey Wardens do not recruit simply anybody, and I intend no flattery when I say you show promise.
Well,
The old treaties allow me to conscript you even against your father's wishes, but I will not do so. Our order is too small to risk animosity with Ferelden's nobility.
I'm glad I am to hear it.
It's tempting, your lordship, but I'm content to see what other candidates your castle offers.
did you really come all this way just to see Sir Gilmore?
I have only found a couple of worthy candidates in my travels across Ferelden. Your father invited me here, suggesting this Sir Gilmore. If he is not suitable, I will head south and join up with the king.
You know the king? I mean, so do I, since I'm a noble. One of the highest-ranking noble families in the country. But I didn't expect you to know him.
Not well. King Kalen is an eager young man who has shown great wisdom in responding to the Darkspawn threat.
I've heard he's a bit enraptured with the Grey Warden legend, and that is why he caters to your order.
How? That is unworthy of you.
Yeah.
He only repeats what we've all heard. Whatever the king's reasons, I'll take his support. The priority is defeating the Darkspawn before they threaten all of Ferelden.
Bum, bum, bum. Well, I'll leave you alone then. Bye.
Until we speak again.
It'll be sooner than you think. All right, and to complete the room here, we have two more people. A guard who doesn't have a whole lot to say, and of course, Arl Howe.
Yes?
Yes. How long have you and father been friends, pray tell?
We fought together under King Maric when he drove the Orlesians out of Ferelden. Heady times. The years since have not held the same promise. It's not something a youth would understand. It will be good to ride beside your father again.
Oh yeah? Bet you're really looking forward to it, aren't you? Anyway, you knew King Maric?
Your father hasn't spoken of our time with him? That man took care of his friends. As they say, he was large as life and twice as tall. It's too bad Kalen isn't half that.
Well, that's very loyal of you. You don't think much of King Kalen?
I think of him as much as he thinks at all.
Oh,
That's enough, Hal. You speak of our king.
yeah.
The girl did ask, your lordship. As per the latitude you allow. I merely offered my opinion.
Oh, yeah. Your opinion. That's worth a lot. So, your son is interested in me, I hear?
The topic has come up from time to time. The young and their infatuations.
Let's return the snobbery, shall we? I don't remember returning the interest.
That speaks to your nature, not ours. I can't say I approve of the freedom your father allows.
Thankfully,
If
it's
something
not up
did
to you.
happen, well, we'd address it as befits a family of our stature.
Ah, stature. Don't hold your breath.
Your father's permissiveness has made you willful, indeed.
Damn right.
It may not always serve you so well.
I bet it will. I trust the delay with your men is nothing serious.
Poor weather, I believe. Their progress has been slow, but it's nothing you need worry about.
Really? That's interesting because you told my father the delay was your fault.
In a manner of speaking, if I had reinforced our border levies earlier, my troops could have left before the rains. I confess, my confidence in your father allowed me some complacency. I guess that makes it as much his fault.
Oh, you take that back, you bastard. I just want to wish you well, Arlhow.
I thank you. That is quite unnecessary.
Yes, it is. Very unnecessary. All right, so let's go over here and talk to this guard. How's personal guard? Oh, wait, I'm doing the voice again. In the wrong spot. Let's see. How's personal guard?
Greetings, my lady. You are the Terran's daughter, are you not?
Well, doesn't he just sound shady? He's like, hey, come over here. You want to buy a watch? Yeah, well, who are you?
I am a member of Arlhow's personal guard. The rest of the Arl's forces are expected tonight. I understand you shall take charge of your father's castle once we march.
It's a little nosy.
I apologize. Good evening, my lady.
You should apologize. All right, so we'll look at our map. And we'll see that we are here in the main hall. And we're supposed to be going here to find Fergus, which means we shall go everywhere else first. So we'll start by going out this door and down the hall this way, and we'll make a big circle and go all the way around and then go where we're supposed to go. Because we definitely take Father's errands seriously. We want to accomplish them quickly. So we're going to turn the map off for starters, and then we're going to go out this way? Yes, this way. All right. Go up here first and check out.
There you are. Your mother told me the Terran had summoned you, so I didn't want to interrupt.
Hello to you too, Sir Gilmore.
Pardon my abruptness, my lady. It's simply that I've been looking everywhere for you. I fear your hound has the kitchens in uproar once again, and is threatening to leave.
Nan is just blowing off steam. She's always been like that.
Your mother disagrees. She insists you collect the dog, and quickly. You know these Mabari hounds. He'll listen to his mistress, but anyone else risks having an arm bitten off.
He knows better than to hurt anyone.
I'm not willing to test that. You're quite lucky to have your own Mabari warhound, you know. Smart enough not to talk, my father used to say. Of course, that means he's easily bored. Nan swears he confounds her just to amuse himself. At any rate, your mother would have me accompany you until the matter is settled, shall we?
Where is Mother exactly?
She was entertaining Lady Landra and her son when I left her. Perhaps in the atrium? Before we go, my lady, might I beg a question? I've heard from several people that a Grey Warden is here. Is that true?
Yes, his name is Duncan. I met him.
Then, is it also true that this Grey Warden was asking after me?
Maybe. He is. He's thinking about recruiting you.
Maker's breath. Are you certain? Can you imagine me, a Grey Warden? It would be everything I've dreamed of. Of course, I shouldn't get ahead of myself. Pardon my outburst.
As you may have noticed, there is also a mod for Sir Gilmore. There's another one a little bit later, but we haven't run into that yet. Yeah, Sir Snack. And we met him right away, so he can follow us around and watch us break into
Good evening,
chests
my lady.
and talk to people.
Let's get started.
So, this would be the library. We are here right now. So, anytime you see an area with lots of books, it's always good to take your time and look around. By hitting tab, you can see all of the things that are interactable in the room. So, firstly, we're going to talk to these eager young students here.
Mother says the Darkspawn will all be killed and I won't see one. Is that true?
I bet you won't see one.
I have to read this whole chapter? Some of these words are so big.
I think you're going to have bigger problems later today, kid. I'm assuming at this point that most people are at least a little bit familiar with this game and are aware that if your character's life was all peachy keen, it would not make for a very good beginning of a story. Something has to happen to set off the story. So I'm sure that the allusions to all the upcoming trouble are not a surprise to anyone. So let's talk to Aldous.
Hello, my dear girl. By chance, I am beginning to teach these young squires about your family's history.
Do we have to? History is boring.
Boys, you are referring to the Couslands, the very family in whose castle you live. Show some respect.
We won't go with that. Still the same taskmaster, I see.
If the mind is not exercised, it withers just as the body does. Perhaps you'd care to join me in teaching the lesson?
Sure, I don't have anything better to do. It's not like I'm supposed to be getting my dog from the kitchen and running an errand for Dad. So, yeah, I'm cool. Certainly, I'd be happy to.
Wonderful. Oh, the Cousland history is long indeed. Where shall we start?
Tell about our relationship with Arl Howe.
The history between the Couslands and the Howes reaches back to the Orlesian occupation.
Go on.
During the rebellion against Orlais, several battles were fought near Highever. The port village of Harper's Ford was the tournier's center. Its Arl was Tarleton Howe. Though nearly 90, he was still as sharp and bitter as cheap ale. Your grandfather openly supported the rebellion, but Howe sided with Orlais.
The traitor.
Your family was forced to seize Harper's Ford before it was all over.
What a shame. But my father and Arl Howe are old friends. No, there's so many tempting ones here. Let's go with, as was our right, the Howes are our vassals.
True, but if you expect to rule simply on writ, you'll find yourself ousted by a coalition of angry Arls. The Howes eventually joined the rebellion, when all of Ferelden united behind King Merrick and General Loghain, just as now we united behind Merrick's son, King Cailan, to fight the Darkspawn.
We predate the founding of the kingdom, yes?
Well, I'm glad some of my lessons don't disappear into that yawning chasm between your ears, young lady.
Rude. Your lecturing does lead to yawning.
A pity you don't spend the same care whetting the edge of your mind as your tongue. At any rate, your family has held the tourneur of Highever since before King Calenhad united Ferelden. In fact, Tierna Elethea Cousland battled Calenhad to maintain Highever's independence.
We opposed the king?
The Couslands are ardent royalists now, but at that time, Calenhad was unknown and considered dangerous by many. When Calenhad's army reached Highever, Tierna Elethea led the local bands against him. Obviously, Calenhad won.
And Calenhad let us keep the tourneur?
Calenhad wished to unite Ferelden, not conquer it. After Elethea's men were defeated, Calenhad asked her to swear fealty. The boulder where they held council still stands today as a memorial of that event.
Oh. Well, when was our line founded?
Records are vague, but the Couslands became Tierns during the Black Age. Is that familiar, child?
during the lycanthrope plagues.
Good. I'm pleased some of my lessons seem to have stuck.
Well-
At that time, your family held only the minor title of Ban. When the werewolves reached this area, Ban River Cousland organized a curfew and patrols within the city. Several other local bands supported his efforts by swearing oaths of fealty, making him their Tyrann.
Well, this was fascinating, but I've got things to do, and these young boys are about to fall asleep where they stand, so time to end the lesson, I think.
Thank you for indulging an old man.
Oh, does that mean we have to listen to you now?
Silence! I will not have you two becoming smart-mouthed hooligans. Perhaps you should go. I doubt they need any more distraction. I'm just going to settle in here and apparently just talk to myself for all the good I'm doing. Ask myself all this, why do you do this?
Oh, there's a librarian.
Good evening, my lady.
Good evening. There's books here. History of Ferelden, Chapter 1. Ferelden, as we think of it now, did not exist before the Exalted Age. Instead, the valley was divided up into dozens of old Alamari clans. They warred constantly with one another over land, honor, the allegiance of the freeholders, and, on one notable occasion, the name given to a favorite Mabari. And then, in the 33rd year of the Exalted Age, Calenhad Therin became Tairn of Denerim, and everything changed. Most of what we know about the founding of our nation comes from old songs that the bards passed down through the ages. The songs are filled with wild exaggerations and outright lies, but this hardly differs from the scholarly papers of some of my contemporaries. There is no agreement among poets or scholars on how he did it, but Calenhad gained the support of the Circle of Magi, and they crafted for him a suit of silvery white armor that, by all accounts... repelled both arrow and blade. Calenhad led his army across the valley and captured Redcliffe, one of only 3 men who ever successfully laid siege to that fortress, and he presented himself to the bands of the Landsmeet as their king. The poets tell us that every lord knelt before Calenhad without question. The fact that he attended the Landsmeet surrounded by ash warriors and loyal mages of the Circle is generally omitted from the ballads, however, so basically it was, kind of smart to kneel without arguing. From Calenhad came the line of Therin kings and queens who reigned uninterrupted until the 44th year of the Blessed Age, when the rightful king was forced to flee Denerim, and for 70 years a puppet sat upon the throne. From Ferelden, Folklore and History by Sister Patrine, Chantry Scholar. Yeah, the tutor always amuses me. So, since I am all about the lore, I am going to read the lore entries, and it looks like we have a few here. So, Geography of Ferelden. My nose needs to stop itching, that would be great. The Kingdom of Ferelden is the southernmost civilized nation in Thedas, although some scholars dispute that claim to civilization. It is perhaps the most physically isolated of all the kingdoms of Thedas. To the east is the Amaranthine Ocean, to the north the Waking Sea, and to the south the Korkari Wilds, which in the summer months are a vast peat bog, and in the winter become a treacherous labyrinth of iced-over waterways. The Frostback Mountains guard the western border, and only a narrow plain between the mountains and the sea allows travel between Ferelden and Orlais. Most of the land in the central portion of the kingdom, called the Banorn, is open plains. These are crossed by the remains of an ancient Tevinter highway that once connected Val Royeaux with Ostagar, on the edge of the Korkari Wilds. The western part of Ferelden is dominated by Lake Calenhad, which, according to Cullen, is shaped like a bunny. Lake Calenhad, a huge caldera filled by the runoff of glaciers from nearby mountains. Lake Calenhad is home to the famed Fortress of Redcliffe, as well as the Circle Tower, which houses Ferelden's Circle of Magi. In the east is the vast Brazilian forest, which the superstitious locals profess to be haunted. and from which rises the Dragon's Peak, a solitary mountain that guards the capital city of Denerim. From In Pursuit of Knowledge, The Travels of a Chantry Scholar by Brother Genitivi. Thanks for coming in. We'll be here Mondays and Wednesdays, so I'm glad that you stopped in to check it. Thanks. Let's see. We got Highever. Castle Highever stood since the Divine Age, when it was not an independent Banorn, but merely an outpost of the growing Banorn of Amaranthine in the days before Amaranthine became an Arling itself. The outpost of Highever was originally held by the Elston family, cousins of the Howes. In the Age of Towers, however, Ban Conabar Elston was murdered by his wife Flemeth, thus ending the bloodline. Conabar's captain of the guard, Sarum Cousland, took the lands and title. The Couslands declared their independence from Amaranthine, starting a war that lasted 30 years. When the dust settled, Highever was on its own and in possession of half the land that had once been southwestern Amaranthine. Highever became a Tyrnir during the Black Age when Haelia Cousland gathered the lords together under her banner to drive the werewolves out of their lands, earning herself the title of Terna almost as an afterthought. Today, Highever is one of only 2 remaining Tyrnirs, making the Cousland family second in rank only to the king. That's right. That's right. I'm all up in there with the king. We got a badass over here. Yeah, okay. From Ferelden Folklore and History by Sister Petrine, Chantry Scholar. I think it's interesting the way that these are written, that they have different authors, and you can tell that different authors have a little bit different tones. So I don't know if that's because they were actually written by different writers at BioWare, and that's how they divided it up, but in any case, I think it's cool. So we've got 2 more that we'll do right now, and then we'll fill some in a little later. The noble families of Ferelden. The occupation left empty castles in its wake, the Orlesian occupation, which happened about, I want to say, 30 years before, don't quote me, I think it's 30, it might be 40, right around in there, years before this date that this all begins to take place. And basically Orlais marched in an army and said, you belong to us now, and conquered, and they were big jerks. And the Fereldans were not appreciative of their new rulers, and the war to oust them lasted decades. And King Merrick, the king that they're talking about, was actually, his mom was queen, but she was the rebel queen, they called her, because she actually was never in charge of Ferelden, because she came to power after the Orlesian occupation and led the rebellion the whole time that she was alive, basically. So, okay, thank you. Thanks for stopping by, Liz. I appreciate it. Have fun with the rest of your workday. So, yeah, so it was a very long and bloody war, and it left a lot of bad blood between Orlais and Ferelden, and that continues through the present day, and probably will for a long time, because there are still people alive, clearly, who remember that battle personally. So, the Orlesian occupation left empty castles in its wake. Whole families were butchered in the initial invasion, and all those who couldn't or wouldn't bend knee to the Emperor's puppet king were declared traitors and hunted. Many bloodlines ended on chevaliers' blades at dusty crossroads, in forest clearings, or in freeholds. And then there were the turncoats. To curry favor with their new masters, some nobles took up arms against their brothers. They betrayed and murdered her. They betrayed and murdered the rebel queen, an act that created even more vacant titles and lands once King Merrick exacted justice. The Stolen Throne is the novel that covers that whole time period about King Merrick's coming into power, meeting up with Loghain, and how they basically took back the country. And if you're a big lore nerd like I am, filling in the blanks like that is always cool. So feel to check it out. That Ferelden did not fall apart after the Orlesians left is a testament to the strength of King Merrick. The old families still held grudges against those who had sided with the Emperor, and those new families that had been granted titles were viewed as interlopers. The lands meets that followed Merrick's coronation were tense, to say the least. It's another one from Sister Petrine. And finally, the Grey Wardens. The First Blight had already raged for 90 years. The world was in chaos. A god had risen, twisted and corrupted. The remaining gods of Tevinter were silent, withdrawn. What writing we have recovered from those times is filled with despair, for everyone believed, from the greatest archons to the lowliest slaves, that the world was coming to an end. At Weishaupt Fortress, in the desolate Anderfels, a meeting transpired. Soldiers of the Imperium, seasoned veterans who had known nothing their entire lifetimes except hopeless war, came together. When they left Weishaupt, they had renounced their oaths to the Imperium. They were soldiers no longer. They were the Grey Wardens. The Wardens began an aggressive campaign against the Blight, striking back against the Darkspawn, reclaiming lands given up for lost. The Blight was far from over, but their victories brought notice, and soon they received aid from every nation in Thedas. They grew in number as well as reputation. Finally, in the year 992 of the Tevinter Imperium, upon the Silent Plains, they met the Archdemon Dumat in battle. A third of all the armies of northern Thedas were lost to the fighting. But Dumat fell, and the Darkspawn fled back underground. But even that was not the end. The Imperium once revered 7 gods: Dumat, Zazikel, Toth, Andral, Razikael, Lusican, and Earththemiel. And I probably pronounced some of those wrong, but here we are. 4 have risen as archdemons, which would be Dumat, Toth, Andral, and Zazikel, the first 4 there. So far as we know, at this point in the story. The Grey Wardens have kept watch through the ages, well aware that peace is fleeting, and that their war continues until the last of the dragon gods is gone. From Sister Petrine. I actually had a chance to participate in a Grey Warden fanzine a little while back, and the piece that I wrote was about the origin, the founding of the Grey Wardens, and my imagining of how that came down, because there's a lot of different factors in the beginning of the Grey Wardens that you go, okay, but how did anyone ever figure out that would do something? You know, how did anybody know that was the thing that was going to fix the problem? So that was something that I was curious about, and so that was a piece that I wrote, and I need to get that posted on my AO3 so that folks can check it out, but I have not done that yet, but I will probably do that this week. We have another book over here. Let's see what we got. Where are you, book? Somewhere there's a book. That's one thing that you kind of have to play with sometimes, is you see that there's there it is. You kind of got to move the cursor around until you hit it. History of Ferelden, Chapter 2. The occupation was a dark blot on Ferelden's history. Our people, who from time immemorial valued their freedom over all else, were forced to bow to Orlesian rule. The Empire declared our elves property and sold them like cattle. Chevaliers routinely plundered freeholds of coin, food, and even women and children, and excused it as taxation. And for 70 years no landsmeets were held, for the imperial throne had declared our ancient laws a form of treason. King Brandel was one of those who escaped. He tried to organize the other fugitive lords to retake their land, but Brandel was neither clever nor persuasive, and the nobles preferred to take their chances alone. Ferelden might still be little more than a territory of the Empire, were it not for the fact that his daughter had all the charisma that her royal father lacked. So Rebel Queen Myra, The Rebel Queen's rule began with a midnight attack on the Imperial Armory at Lothering. It was swift and successful, and with their pilfered arms, the rebels began a campaign against the Orlesians in earnest. But the turning point of the war came when a young freeholder joined the Queen's army. The lad, Logain MacTier, possessed a remarkable talent for strategy and quickly became the favorite advisor of young Prince Merrick. The Queen finally died at the hands of Orlesian sympathizers anxious to curry favor with their painted masters, and Merrick took her place as the leader of the rebellion. Logain became Merrick's right hand. Merrick and Logain led the rebels in a new campaign against their Orlesian oppressors, culminating in the Battle of River Dane, where the last chevaliers in Denerim were crushed. With the capital once more in the hands of Fereldans, the battle to free our people was finally over. But the battle to rebuild what had been lost had only just begun. From Sister Petrine. It's nice that she ended that with that little cheery bit, because, you wouldn't want us to feel too good about the situation. We gotta end with the, it's not all good. Don't get too excited. Well, I mean, the Chantry would not want everybody thinking everything was cool and happy, because then, when everybody thinks things are cool and happy, they don't feel the need to go to the Chantry and seek the Maker's blessing, which is something that still occurs with religions today. So nothing in the study at this time, so we shall go back out with Sir Yummy in tow, our ginger companion here, and we'll go in here.
Oh, my lady, we were just,
Ignoring your duties? Nah, I'm not a hard ass like that. Playing cards?
Well, the treasury's safe. I'm not even sure why the Terran stationed us here.
Don't worry about it. I won't say anything. Enjoy your evening.
We appreciate that, my lady. Thank you.
No worries. Take a load off.
Thank you for your lenience, my lady.
That's right. I think we cannot get into this one yet.
On it.
Yep, requires a key. Every time I hear her say on it, it immediately makes me think of Knights of the Old Republic, because that was the thing that they said every time they unlocked a lock. On it. Done! So that, in my head, it takes me there every time. Ooh, a locked door. Ha, not anymore. Not in my castle. Oh, look, a chest. Elf fruit. This is the most important lesson you shall ever learn about Dragon Age. You can never have too much elf fruit. Never. I should probably empty out my inventory here real quick. You will notice that there are some things that are these are from DLCs or from achievements, that kind of thing. Most of these things are the same, and I cannot wear them yet. Most of these are the same, and I shall probably put one of those on. In this one, we have some things that are from a mod, which a lot of people would probably say it is a cheating kind of thing. I like it just because of this one right here. It's an item that you can use that lets you go back to the party select screen. And normally when you leave on a mission, you can't do that unless you go back to the camp. And I find that frustrating and annoying, especially when I'm trying to hear companion dialogues, to progress through an area so I can have different companions talk with each other. I like to be able to swap them out. So this one lets you, I think, make them angry with you. Generally, I just destroy these other things because I don't use them. Alternate Lothering Portal. I don't know why you would need a thing like that. This one lets you polymorph because with some of these items, you also get the option to romance people that normally would not be romanceable. So as far as the same romances, but different options, basically. So this is, I'm going to delete. I don't know why I have it, but I don't think I should. So, well, maybe I won't. Maybe I earned it. I don't know. We'll see. I won't use it right now. This lets you respec, which is nice, but again, if I were a more uber kind of character, I might be concerned with that, but I'm generally not. This is a ring that lets you change your class. Again, I'm not going to do that. This lets you change your gender. This lets you make a character love you, which you can get the from the feast days, pranks, and gifts DLC that was official. You can do all that anyway, so there's really no reason to have that in here. And change player's race and background, which again, I'm not going to do. And a thing that makes everybody not like you. And why would you want that? Everyone should like me. I'm wonderful. So yeah, now we've cleaned out some of our random junk. I could probably put some boots on her. Not a lot that she's going to be able to wear just yet, but I think we won't equip the daggers just now. But we will equip the accessories. This one I really like. It's from, I believe, an achievement, I think, or completing something. I don't remember. I'll have to look it up. So that was our amulet. We've got to have a belt, which... I kind of like the Guildmaster's belt here. We're going to go with that. We've got a ring that gives resistance. We've got this one which reduces hostility, which is always nice. Constitution and fire resistance. Critical and backstab damage. That's always good for a rogue. +1 to all attributes. I forgot I have this one. And we'll go with +1 to all attributes. Memory Band is supposed to increase your XP gain, but I have never really noticed a big impact from it, so I tend to not use it. If y'all know that I'm wrong in that, feel free to let me know. I think we'll go with reducing the hostility. It's always good when they attack someone that's not me. All right, so now we have some jewelry on. What else can we steal? I mean, what else can we borrow from our own castle so it's not stealing? We can find a mace. I operate on the school of Skyrim, which is basically, if it's not nailed down, take it. You may need it later. Or Fallout, that's another one. There's a thing, I take it. It doesn't matter that I don't need 12 sweet rolls and a metal pot right now. I could happen to have a need for them. It might be worth something. You don't know. All right. What do we got in here? Oh, we got a book. We'll just ignore those people and go over here for our book. The Chant of Light on the First Darkspawn. Oh, this is a good one. No matter their power, their triumphs, the mage lords of Tevinter were men and doomed to die. Then a voice whispered within their hearts, "Shall you surrender your power to time like the beasts of the fields? You are the lords of the earth. Go forth to claim the empty throne of heaven and the gods, and be gods." In secret they worked, magic upon magic. All their power and all their vanity they turned against the veil, until, at last, it gave way. Above them a river of light, before them the throne of heaven waiting, beneath their feet the footprints of the Maker, and all around them echoed a vast silence. But when they took a single step toward the empty throne, a great voice cried out, shaking the very foundations of heaven and earth. And so is the golden city blackened with each step you take in my hall. Marvel at perfection, for it is fleeting. You have brought sin to heaven and doom upon all the world. violently were they cast down, for no mortal may walk bodily in the realm of dreams. Mostly. Bearing the mark of their crime, bodies so maimed and distorted that none should see them and know them for men. Deep into the earth they fled, away from the light. In darkness eternal they searched for those who had goaded them on, until at last they found their prize, their god, their betrayer, the sleeping dragon Dumat. Their taint twisted even the false god, and the whisperer awoke at last, in pain and horror, and led them to wreak havoc upon all the nations of the world, the first blight. From Threnodies, the Canticle of Threnodies 8. One of the World of Thedas books actually has a bunch of sections of the chant in it, which I thought was really cool because it's interesting to see some of the legends that the chantry was built on. The chantry is held in... the chantry gets a lot of hate from people who play Dragon Age, and for some very good reasons. They do a lot of bad things. And... so it's understandable that people would dislike the organization and be glad when bad things happen to them. But what we're hearing about in the game is primarily, you know, the power-hungry things that they're doing and the abuses of power. You know, there's also the people like Mother Giselle in Dragon Age Inquisition, who honestly are there to try and help people and bring them, you know, aid and comfort. So, I mean, that's one of the things I love about this game, is that in any organization, there are things that are really cool and things that are just horrible. And that, to me, reflects the nature of people, because in any group of people, you're always going to have, you know, some that are good and a few that are not. It's just how it is. And it doesn't matter if it's a group of, you know, I don't know, construction workers or police officers or pastors or any of that. In any group of people, you're going to have some that are good and some that are bad. It's just the nature of people. So, anyway, let's read maybe a couple more here. We've got, this is a mod that I have that gets a table of contents, basically, which makes it a little easier to see what's what and see what you haven't read, which I like. So, Duncan. Men and women from every race, warriors and mages, barbarians and kings, the Grey Wardens sacrificed everything to stem the tide of darkness, and prevailed. Like many others, Duncan gave up his family name when he joined the ranks of the Wardens, a symbolic gesture of cutting ties. He might say this was a convenience in his case, however. His mother was from the Anderfells, his father from Tevinter, and his childhood was spent in the free marches in Orlais. His people were everywhere, and his homeland was nowhere. He was given the almost impossible tasks of leading the Wardens in Ferelden, a kingdom that had thrown the Order out 200 years earlier. Facing local suspicion and hostility, he set about finding recruits. Yeah, one of the other books, which the name is out of my head at the moment, it'll come to me in a minute, talks about Duncan's youth and one of the big quests that happens in his youth and how he ends up being a Grey Warden. It's very cool. Ugh, Arl Rendon Howe. It will be good to ride into battle once more, won't it, old friend? Ha ha ha. Jerk. The Arling of Amaranthine winds along the sinuous northern coast of Ferelden. The waking sea is known for its temper, and the storms that sweep in from the warmer northern waters are sudden and brutal. These are the lands of Rendon Howe. He was born during the occupation and, like many of the nobles at the time, joined Prince Merrick's rebels. He fought alongside young River Cousland, future Tairn of Highever, and Leonis Bryland, future Arl of Southreach, at the bloody Battle of White River. It was the most catastrophic defeat of the entire occupation, from which only 50 rebel soldiers escaped alive. Although he was decorated for valor by King Merrick, Howe's abrasive manners have earned him almost universal dislike among his peers. Gosh, I can't imagine why that would be. He seemed so charming. So let's go ahead and talk to Oh, we got another book here. Well, we'll talk to her first. We don't do too many books in a row.
Maker, prepare a place for us. Redeem our world from sin.
Apparently,
forgive our
praying involves
transgressions.
rocking.
Maker, forgive us all!
Have you come to pray for your brother and father? I'd be happy to ask for the Maker's blessings with you.
Sure, why not? Something tells me that I might need blessings later. And I would say that growing up as a Cousland, it's likely that, especially given that there's a chapel in her house, she was raised as part of the Andrastian faith. So I would appreciate that, Mother Malol.
Please, child, call me Malol. I've known you since you were a wee babe after all. Creator of the sky, the land, and the sea. Hear your people in our time of need. Let no man have cause to fear the shadows. Let their souls be lifted upon your return. So let it be.
I don't want to interrupt, you know.
Your faith is silent tonight. I hope you are just deep in reflection. There are many more who must receive the Maker's blessings before they leave. If you would excuse me.
Could you answer a few questions?
I cannot. Many await my attendance before they march into the unknown. We shall talk once the soldiers have departed.
I don't think we will, actually. Call it a hunch. And here we have Andraste, Bride of the Maker. There was once a tiny fishing village on the waking sea that was set upon by the Tevinter Imperium, which enslaved the villagers to be sold in the markets of Minrathous, leaving behind only the old and the infirm. One of the captives was the child Andraste. She was raised in slavery in a foreign land. She escaped, then made the long and treacherous journey back to her homeland alone. She rose from nothing to be the wife of an Alamari warlord. Alamari, rather. Each day she sang to the gods, asking them to help her people who remained slaves in Tevinter. The false gods of the mountains and the winds did not answer her. The false gods, as according to the chantry who wrote the book. The folks in the mountains might have a different opinion on that. But the false gods of the mountains and the winds did not answer her, but the true God did. The Maker spoke. He showed her all the works of his hands, the Fade, the world, and all the creatures therein. He showed her how many had forgotten him, lavishing devotions upon mute idols and demons, and how he had left them to their fate. But her voice had reached him, and so captivated him that he offered her a place at his side, that she might rule all of creation. But Andraste would not forsake her people. She begged the Maker to return, to save his children from the cruelty of the Imperium. Reluctantly, the Maker agreed to give man another chance. Andraste went back to her husband, Maferath, and told him all that the Maker had revealed to her. Together they rallied the Alamari and marched forth against the mage lords of the Imperium, and the Maker was with them. The Maker's sword was creation itself, fire and flood, famine and earthquake. Everywhere they went, Andraste sang to the people of the Maker, and they heard her. The ranks of Andraste's followers grew until they were a vast tide washing over the Imperium. And when Maferath saw that the people loved Andraste and not him, a worm grew within his heart, gnawing upon it. At last, the armies of Andraste and Maferath stood before the very gates of Minrathous, but Andraste was not with him. For Maferath had schemed in secret to hand Andraste over to the Tevinter. For this, the Archon would give Maferath all the lands to the south of the Waking Sea. And so, before all the armies of the Alamari and of Tevinter, Andraste was tied to a stake and burned while her earthly husband turned his armies aside and did nothing, for his heart had been devoured. But as he watched the pyre, the Archon softened. He took pity on Andraste and drew his sword to grant her the mercy of a quick death. The Maker wept for his beloved, cursed Maferath, cursed mankind for their betrayal, and turned once again from creation, taking only Andraste with him. And Our Lady sits still at his side, where she still urges him to take pity on his children. from the sermons of Justinia II, one of the previous, wow, the word just went out of my head completely. We'll move on from that. Oh, let's take a break from that. Let's actually make some progress. We'll read some more codex entries later. Nothing else interesting in here. Let's move along. We gotta find someplace else to break into. And we should probably go after that dog at some point. This would be our courtyard. A locked door, which is no longer locked. No door shall be barred to me. Wah ha ha. Oh. Stuff. A deep mushroom. I picked 2 locks for a deep mushroom. So, by the way, if at any point the sound needs to be tweaked at all, or I'm turning the character too fast and it's making people seasick or any of that, please let me know. I'm still getting the hang of all this, so. Let's see. What do we got in this one? Chest over here. More elf fruit. And what's our mantra? You can never have too much elf fruit.
Good evening, my lady.
Yo, sup. So that is the main hall where we started, so we're going to continue going around until we go get the dog. I don't know what's going on here. Apparently somebody not cleaning up after themselves. Kind of gross. Really need to get hopping. I'll have to speak to the servants here, see what's up.
Good evening, my lady.
You following me, buddy? You just said that 5 seconds ago. What do we got going on in here? Oh, we got a chest over here.
Let's get started.
We have a deep mushroom. So far the chests that we found have been real windfalls, I gotta say. Let's go up here. Looks like we got servants here.
We will serve you while the Terran is away.
I don't know about the way she said that. Kind of sounded like some innuendo there, like, hey, we'll serve you while the Terran is away.
We will serve you well while the Terran is gone.
Yeah, see, he just said it. She was like, I'm thinking she was talking about serving me more than breakfast, is what I'm getting at here. All right. It appears that we have made our way up to the hallway where we're supposed to, one of the places we're supposed to be going. There's a room back here that is not where we're supposed to be going, so naturally we go there first. We can raid the kitchen, no, the storeroom. Oh, this one at least has a, it makes sense that we find a ring in this, food storage and some coins, and we find elf fruit and mushrooms in the other places. It's a cat. Hi, cat. It doesn't say anything. It just sits there. Apparently it's mad at us for being a dog person. We found another iron ring. Not really good for anything but selling, but you can never have too much bling, am I right?
This should be easy enough.
Well, I should hope it's easy enough. It was just opening a door. It wasn't even locked. All right. And here is Nan.
Get that bloody mutt out of the larder.
But mistress, it won't let us near.
If I can't get into that larder, I'll skin both of you useless elves. I swear it.
Racist?
Calm down, good woman. We've come to help.
You and you. Your bloody mongrel keeps getting into my larder. That beast should be put down.
He's not a mongrel. He's a pure-blood Mabari.
A blight wolf is what he is. How am I supposed to work like this?
Oh, dear. Mistress, calm down, please.
That's it. I'll quit. Inform the Turner. I'll go and cook at some nice estate in the Banorn.
Nan, please. We'll get the dog. Calm down.
Just get him gone. I've enough to worry about with a castle full of hungry soldiers. You two, stop standing there like idiots. Get out of the way.
Boy, she's a charmer, eh? I'd say that we should look around first, but the incessant barking in the background. Not so much.
Oh, look at that mess. How did he even get in here?
Are you trying to tell me something, boy? Did Timmy fall in the well? I guess that's a yes.
He does seem like he's trying to tell you something. Wait, did you hear that?
What shall we call our dog? Any suggestions? In the interest of not sitting here for 5 hours trying to think of a name, as I typically do, I think we'll go with the time-honored Bark Spawn, which always entertains me. Uh-oh. And by naming the dog, we've summoned rats, it turns out. Who could have known? Before we start this, I like to have my bar dragged out so that the things that are not combat skills are not near the things that are. So before I have to fight, I probably should equip a weapon. Kind of important. We'll use our Cousland ceremonial dagger for now. I don't like it when they don't match, but, you know.
Critters.
This is like a bad adventure story.
What are you trying to say, Sir Gilmore?
Serves you right.
Yeah. I will attack all the rats if I get to them before Gilmore and the dog do. Ah! You know,
You had it coming.
you may be noting at this
Giant
point that
rats? It's
why
like
I
the
don't
start
play
of
it,
every
but-
bad adventure tale my grandfather used to tell. Your hound must have chased them in through their holes. Looks like he wasn't raiding the larder after all.
Those were very large rats. Rodents of unusual size? I don't think they exist.
I've seen larger. They come up from the Kakari wilds sometimes.
We're having a little bit of lag here all of a sudden, it appears. There we go.
But seeing as you've got your Mabari well in hand, I'll be on my way. I'm to prepare for the arrival of more of the Isle's men.
Wait, you don't have to go yet, do you?
On it.
Done. Now, the dog wasn't raiding the larder, but I totally am. More elf fruit. All right, now, apologize for saying mean
There
things
he
about
is,
my
as
dog.
brazen as you please, licking his chops after helping himself to the roast, no doubt.
Actually, he was defending your larder from rats. Big ones.
What? Rats? Not the large grey ones.
They'll rip you to shreds, they will.
Calm down,
See,
Darwin.
now you've gone and
I mean,
scared the servants.
servant.
I expect those filthy things are dead.
A lot of gratitude. My faithful warhound made sure it's safe.
Oh, I bet that dog led those rats into there to begin with.
Aww.
Oh, don't even start with the sad eyes. I'm immune to your so-called charms. Here then, take these pork bits and don't say that Nan never gives you anything. Bloody dog. Thank you, my lady. Now we can get to work. That's right, you two. Quit standing about.
Well, let's talk to her first.
Thank you again for your help. Now, if you'll just hold on a moment. Yes?
I don't think that these really matter, so we'll just go with. I'm in a.
Adney, get moving with those casks. And Kath, do you think you can serve that to the turn with dirt from the floor all over it?
You.
Miserable old bat.
Old bat, am I? We've got to work double time on supper, sweep out the hearths, and no complaining.
Guess her hearing is better than he thought. Oh, I don't want to encourage her. Clearly, she's not a bastion of equality. So let's go with busy day.
Just keeping order. That's why your father keeps me on. The good maker knows I needn't take care of you anymore. Thank you for coming to your old nanny's rescue. That blasted hound is more trouble than he's worth. He is.
Aww.
And don't start with me. You've gotten all you're getting today. But what about you, my lady? Been keeping safe and well behaved, I hope?
Me? Always. Why would I say anything but yes? No, we'll go with, that would be boring.
And that's why you made your nanny old before her time. Do you remember that bedtime tale I used to tell you? The dog that bit? Good. Then you can start.
In a dark and murky world, there was a smelly cook. No. Once upon a time, there was a dog, and he bit somebody.
You'd think I hadn't told you this tale 1,000 times. Before our fathers' fathers came down from the mountains, a warhound was born to the elder bitch of a tribal chief. They named him Hahaku and gave him everything. He grew up a fine, strong pup, destined to be the partner of the chief's eldest son.
And Hohaku grew prideful. It's actually the name I chose for the Mabari in fiction that I'm writing, that I'm actually almost finished with.
The young hound became arrogant, taking food from his kin and warning them, in the way of dogs, that the chief's family would punish them if they tried to attack him. Years passed, and the time for the chief's son to take a warhound came closer. Hahaku's pride swelled, and many of the people of the tribe came to the chief, quietly whispering of this dog's bullying. With each complaint, the chief saw only Hahaku's strength and pride, and sent his people away. But as his son grew, the chief watched more closely. The day might come when his boy's life would depend on this dog. If the humblest of his people would not trust Hahaku, how could he?
Hohaku's own misdeeds bit him.
When the day came, Hahaku sat proudly waiting to be called, but the old chief chose Hahaku's brother as his son's hound. Hahaku was shamed, but felt no remorse. So great was his rage that he darted across the fire pit and bit the chief's hand.
That was a mistake.
The chief and his son struck at Hahaku, cursing him. The hound ran into the village, seeking shelter in the tents and kennels. The other dogs snapped at him, and the tribe's people threw stones at him. Before the chief could reach him, the tribe had torn Hahaku apart. Now, what should you carry from this tale?
Apparently that village was really big on overreacting because, wow. I mean, yeah, he bit, but they tore him apart, like, by hand? I don't know about all that. Oh, what have you learned? Old nurses tell boring stories. No, I'll go with that. Actually, a lot of good options here. But the most relevant for this story, I think, is don't abuse your power.
Exactly. Hahaku took advantage of a position he thought he was entitled to. But you're far too old now for an old woman to be reminding you to watch how you behave,
Why did you tell me that story? What are you trying to say?
It's a story worth repeating. That's all. Be off with you then. Tell your brother farewell before he rides off to war.
I don't know. All right, fine. It's funny because I have played the Dragon Age games enough that I've come to be really familiar with some of the voice actors, and so now when I play other games, I'm like, oh hey, there's Jowan, or oh hey, there's
Good evening,
Niall.
my lady.
I've been playing Elder Scrolls Online
As you
recently, and that one it happens all the time. So this looks like it's the dining room with absolutely nothing exciting in it. Some boring portraits that I'm sure someone worked very hard on. This portrait is everywhere. I actually did a video on Orzammar, and it was in, I think it's the same one, was in the Orzammar Palace like 3 times, which is kind of great. I guess that guy was really important. They really liked him. Oh, here's Mom.
And my dear Bryce bought this back from Orlais last year. The Marquis who gave it to him was drunk, I understand, and mistook Bryce for the king. Ah, here is my lovely daughter. I take it by the presence of that troublesome hound of yours that the situation in the kitchen is handled?
Nan's head exploded and my hound ate the kitchen staff.
Well, at least one of us will have had a decent dinner. Perhaps your hound left something I can feed my guests. Darling, you remember Lady Landra, Ban Lawrence's wife?
I think we last met at your mother's spring salon.
Oh, the salon. I don't think Mom would like that. We'll go with, of course, it is good to see you again, my lady.
You're too kind, dear girl. Didn't I spend half the salon trying to convince you to marry my son?
And made a very poor case for it, I might add.
You remember my son, Dyron. He's not married yet either.
Don't listen to her. It's good to see you again, milady. You're looking as beautiful as ever.
Well. I guess Lady Landra's big thing is subtlety. Beautiful as ever, eh? Flatterer.
And this is my lady-in-waiting, Iona. Do say something, dear.
It is a great pleasure, my lady. You are as pretty as your mother describes.
You would think that it would make it easier to make a match for her, not more difficult.
Perhaps your daughter simply has a mind of her own, your ladyship. You should be proud.
Damn right.
Proud doesn't get me any more grandchildren.
You are aware that we're at war. Or perhaps we should speak alone sometime, Dyron.
I would like that, milady.
Well,
I think perhaps I shall rest now, my dear. Dyron, I will see you and Iona at supper.
Perhaps we'll retire to the study for now.
Good evening, your ladyship.
Hey, Mom. What's up?
You should say goodbye to Fergus while you have the chance.
Did you know there's a Grey Warden here?
Yes, your father mentioned that. You haven't got it into your head that you want to be recruited.
Would that be so bad?
There's enough here at the castle to occupy you. I don't need you off chasing danger like your brother.
Why can't I go with Father and Fergus?
I know it's difficult to stay in the castle and watch others ride off, but we must see to our duties first. You understand that, don't you?
But what if they fall without me?
It's in the Maker's hands now, and we must cope as best we can.
Are you staying at the castle?
For a few days. Then I'll travel with Lady Landra to her estate and keep her company for a time. Your father thinks my presence here might undermine your authority.
I don't think you should go.
Don't worry, my dear. It won't be long.
I have a bad feeling about all this. Famous last words.
As do I. Your father and brother are marching off to fight Maker knows what. All the assurances in the world don't comfort me. But it wouldn't help for us to take up arms and follow. Fergus and your father have their duty and we have ours.
Do you know where Fergus might be?
If he's not out with his men, probably upstairs with Oriana.
I should go.
I love you, my darling girl. You know that, don't you?
I love you too, Mother.
Go do what you must then. I will see you soon.
The character of Tierna Eleanor is actually one of my favorites in this prologue because she's the epitome of the gracious noble lady, but at the same time, she's a badass. And I think that's awesome. So now there's a book that we can look at that we couldn't before, talking about the culture of Ferelden. This one's a good one. This is actually a letter by Empress Celine I of Orlais. The Fereldans are a puzzle. Oh, wait, well, it's Empress Celine. Let me try again. The Fereldans are a puzzle. As a people, they are one bad day away from reverting to barbarism. They repelled invasions from Tevinter during the height of the Imperium, with nothing but dogs and their own obstinate disposition. They are the coarse, willful... I'm swallowing marbles. They are the coarse, willful, dirty, disorganized people who somehow gave rise to a prophet, ushered in an era of enlightenment, and toppled the greatest empire in history. There are few things you can assume safely in dealing with these people. First, they value loyalty above all things, beyond wealth, beyond power, beyond reason. Second, although they have nothing in their entire country which you are likely to think at all remarkable, they are extremely proud of their accomplishments. Third, if you insult their dogs, they are likely to declare war. And finally, the surest sign that you have underestimated the Fereldans is that you think you have come to understand them. From the Orlesian Empress. I don't remember if the current Celine is Celine I. I think so. I don't know. I can't Wikipedia it and make it sound like I'm smart and already knew this. This one's Genetivi, Brother Genetivi. I am frequently asked during my travels in other lands to explain the dogs omnipresent in Ferelden. Inevitably, I tell my foreign questioners that there are no more dogs in my homeland than in their own. In every civilized corner of Thedas, an astute observer will notice dogs employed in hunting game, keeping barns and storehouses free of vermin, herding livestock, guarding homes, and even used as beasts of burden in the mountains. It is simply that Fereldans show appreciation for the work that our dogs do. Unlike these other jerks who don't even appreciate their dogs. And perhaps the reason for that is tangled up in mythology. Hafter, the first man to be named Tern, the hero who united our Alamari ancestors to drive back the darkspawn of the Second Blight, was reputed to be the son of a werewolf. Now, perhaps this was meant to be some comment on his temperament, or simply a way of making a great man even larger than life, but more than half the noble families of Ferelden claim to be descendants of Hafter, and consequently, many of our people believe they have some distant kinship with wolves. It's only good manners to be polite to one's kin. By Brother Genetivi about Ferelden dogs. And let's see. Hey, Iona.
That is a wonderful dog. He seems very noble and intelligent.
Well, I like you. I have good taste.
Greetings once again, my lady.
I haven't seen many elven ladies in waiting.
Lady Landra has been very good to me. I am lucky. If I may, I see that you have no ladies in waiting. Is this usual for a noble woman of your rank?
Maybe a little. I've never needed one.
That is a very Ferelden attitude, I think, to be so self-sufficient.
How did you come to know Lady Landra?
My family has been in service to hers for many years. Lady Landra elevated my place as a reward for our loyalty. I hope this position might pass to my daughter.
You have a daughter?
Forgive me, I shouldn't have mentioned her.
No, it's quite all right. Why shouldn't you mention her? Tell me about her.
Her name is Amathine. Her father died of a wasting sickness 2 years ago.
I'm sorry to hear that.
Thank you. He is with the Maker now.
It sounds like Lady Landra has been good to you. No, I don't like that one, because even though that is probably what my Cousland would pick, because she was raised in this whole attitude of elves being servants, we're going to go with this one. I think it's more telling. You don't hope for more for your daughter?
I have risen very high for my people. I would not tempt fate by wishing more.
Tell me more about yourself.
I am an open book, my lady. What would you like to know?
Where were you born?
Lady Landra's manor is not half so large as your castle, so my family lives in the alienage.
Do you enjoy living there?
There, we do not stand out quite so much. In an alienage, my daughter learns what it means to be elven, as much as possible. So much of our history has been lost.
So, what do you think of humans?
That is an awkward question. What do you mean?
Do you find them very different from your own people?
Sometimes, but to be honest, we elves have lost much of our history. Few speak our language anymore, and many do not know what being elven means. We live amongst you, worship as you do, sing the same songs, eat the same foods. I am a Ferelden woman, yet my race will always set me apart.
I'd like to ask you about something else.
Of course.
Just kidding, I don't. Good evening.
Farewell, my lady. Good luck on managing this castle in the coming months. I imagine it shall be very difficult.
Not exactly. So, hey, Darren.
Hello again. Your castle study is wonderful. Might I ask whose collection this is?
It was my grandfather's, but I come here often to read.
So would I. Do you have a favorite book?
The Art of Passionate Love by Brother Capria.
Oh, that was banned by the Chantry, wasn't it? Quite provocative, I understand. I've, never read it myself.
I could tell you all about it.
Oh, that's not necessary. Perhaps another time.
So you're going to be riding with my father tomorrow?
Yes, though I don't know when. I will leave when your father does.
True,
I'll ride as
know.
his second. Glorified squire, more or less. I'll care for his horse and armor and such. It's quite an honor.
Will you actually fight?
I hope so. I admit to trepidation about facing Darkspawn, but I can't imagine an opponent more worthy of defeat.
It's valid. You consider it an honor to do menial tasks?
Unlike you, I am no child of a great house. If I can rise within the ranks of your father's service, it is more than I could normally hope for. I'm a bit surprised that you're not riding alongside your brother. Is that disappointing?
Yes, I really want to go.
If you're interested, I shall record what I can during the battle. My writing skills may be lacking, but I hope to convey a true sense of the warrior's experience. Writing such an important work is one of my ambitions.
Do you know anything about the Grey Wardens?
No more than anyone else. Is it true there is one here in the castle? Have you met him?
It's true, I've met him.
I'd join the Grey Wardens in a heartbeat. Can you imagine destroying the Darkspawn forever, becoming a hero? But I'd never gain a Grey Warden's notice. I'll have to be happy under your father's command.
I'd like to get to know you a little better.
I'd like that. What did you have in mind?
Tell me about yourself.
There's not much to tell. I am the eldest son of a minor lord. I can't imagine I'm anyone very interesting to you.
Why don't you come to my room later tonight?
I suppose I could see you after everyone is asleep for something of a more intimate nature, if that is what you mean.
Wink, wink, nudge, nudge. Is that what you want?
I think I do.
Then I will see you tonight.
I look forward to it.
I bet you
I shall see you then.
It was good to have him go out on a high note, you know? I figure. Also, let's be real. My character is kind of a slutball. She's gonna be. I know, that's not PC. You're not supposed to shame for that, so I should take that back, but... She likes to flirt with everyone, I'll say. It's a better way of wording it. Hi, Mom. I didn't just proposition your friend's son. Bye. Just say it would be better to say she makes free with her affections. That would be a better way to say it.
Let's get started.
Nothing interesting in here. We have almost reached Fergus. I have spent the entire time that we've been playing getting to the first errand halfway across the castle. You know? Nope, can't get in there. Key required. Nope, there either. Fine. We'll go over here and we'll go to my room.
This should be easy enough.
Anything exciting in my room? Your bed does not look very comfortable. You know? I'm assuming that it's like a box and that the bed is a feather bed inside it. And therefore it's slightly better, but still, just doesn't look very cozy. And this is Mom and Dad's room. Oh, look, there's Dad. There's Mom on the way to the room.
Let's get started.
Can't get in. Fine. I guess we'll go see Fergus.
Is there really going to be a war, Papa? Will you bring me back a sword?
That sword, Oren. And I'll get you the mightiest one I can find, I promise. I'll be back before you know it.
I wish victory was indeed so certain. My heart is disquiet.
Don't frighten the boy, love. I speak the truth. And here's my little sister to see me off. Now dry your eyes, love, and wish me well.
Should I wait outside? No.
Stay. I'd like to say farewell.
Did you know there's a Grey Warden in the castle?
Really? Was he riding a griffin?
Shh, Oren. Griffins only exist in stories now.
I'd heard that. Did he say why he's come?
He's going to test Sir Gilmore.
Good for him. I hope he makes it. If I were a Grey Warden, though, I'd have my eye on you. Not that Father would ever allow it.
I wish I could go with you.
I wish you could come. It'll be tiring killing all those darkspawn myself.
Surely your father would not place both his heirs in danger?
Mother and Father have been fighting about it for days. It's too bad. I could have used you at my side.
Do you really think the war would be over quickly?
Word from the south is that the battles have gone well. There's no evidence that this is a true blight, just a large raid.
Could that be true?
No.
I'll see for myself soon enough. Pray for me, love, and I'll be back within a month or two.
You'll be missed, brother.
If it's any consolation, I'm sure I'll freeze in the southern rain and be completely jealous of you up here, warm and safe.
I am positively thrilled that you will be so miserable, husband.
I bring a message. Father wants you to leave without him.
Then the Isle's men are delayed. You'd think his men were all walking backwards. Well, I'd better get underway. So many darkspawn to behead, so little time. Off we go then. I'll see you soon, my love.
I would hope, dear boy, that you plan to wait for us before taking your leave.
Be well, my son. I will pray for your safety every day you are gone.
Well, at least the first one. Fergus will be fine. He's the only one.
I keep telling you, no darkspawn will ever best me.
The Maker sustain and preserve us all. Watch over our sons, husbands and fathers, and bring them safely back to us.
And bring us some ale and wenches while you're at it. For the men, of course.
Fergus, you would say this in front of your mother?
What's a wench? Is that what you pull on to get the bucket out of the well?
A wench is a woman that pours the ale in a tavern, Oren. Or a woman who drinks a lot of ale.
Bryce, maker's breath. It's like living with a pair of small boys. Thankfully, I have a daughter.
I'll miss you, Mother dear. You'll take care of her, sister, won't you?
No. Mother can handle herself, always has.
It's true. They should be sending her, not me. She would scold those darkspawn back into the deep roads.
Well, I'm glad you find this so funny.
Enough, enough. Pup, you'll want to get an early night. You've much to do tomorrow.
Yep. And I can level up. Let's see. I don't have any points, but I do have a skill. What do we got here? Improved coercion. Always take the coercion. I hate when I miss dialogue opportunities because I haven't taken a high enough like coercion or intimidation or whatever the skill may be. So I always go for those. Let's take another archery skill. How about a passive melee archer? That works. The sustained skills I don't love in this, to be honest. I know that they're good as far as bonuses and that kind of stuff, but I find the effects kind of distracting, and I don't like that it takes up usually so much of my stamina or mana or whatever the case may be. But again, that goes back to me not being a big min-maxer. So, Darkspawn. Those who had sought to claim heaven by violence destroyed it. What was golden and pure turned black. Those who had once been mage lords, the brightest of their age, were no longer men, but monsters. The Canticle of Threnides, 12:1. Sin was the midwife that ushered the Darkspawn into this world. The Magisters fell from the Golden City, and their fate encompassed all our worlds, for they were not alone. No one knows where the Darkspawn come from, a dark mockery of men in the darkest places they thrive, growing in numbers as a plague of locusts will. In raids, they will often take captives, dragging their victims alive into the deep roads. Ugh. But most evidence suggests that these are eaten. Most evidence. Like spiders, it seems Darkspawn prefer their food still breathing. Gross. Perhaps they are simply spawned by the darkness, hence the name Darkspawn. Certainly we know that evil has no trouble perpetuating itself. The last blight was in the Age of Towers, striking once again at the heart of Tevinter, spreading south into Orlais and east to the Free Marches. The plague spread as far as Ferelden, but the withering and twisting of the land stopped well beyond our borders. Here, Darkspawn have never been more than the stuff of legends. In the northern lands, however, particularly Tevinter and the Anderfells, they say Darkspawn haunt the hinterlands, preying on outlying farmers and isolated village, a constant threat. From Sister Petrine. Let's see what we got in the way of characters. Barkspawn, our dog. The Mabari is clever enough to speak and wise enough to know not to, a Ferelden proverb. He has a pedigree older than Highever, and a penchant for driving cooks to distraction. The character's codex entries generally get added onto as the game goes on. So that's where we're at right now. Do we have any notes? Credits for the two Beast Day Gifts and Pranks DLC pack. I'm not going to read the explanations of the controls, obviously. I think you can manage those on your own. And also, they're not exciting. No offense to whoever wrote the controls codex entries. I'm sure they're riveting, but let's do the commandments of the Maker. Oh, this is always a good one. These truths the Maker has revealed to me, as there is but one world, one life, one death. There is but one God, and he is our Maker. They are sinners who have given their love to false gods. Magic exists to serve man and never to rule over him. Did you catch that one? Because if you didn't, you'll have lots of chances. That one comes back often. Magic exists to serve man and never to rule over him. Foul and corrupt are they who have taken his gift, and turned it against his children. They shall be named Maleficar, accursed ones, and they shall find no rest in this world or beyond. All men are the work of our Maker's hands, from the lowest slaves to the highest kings. Those who bring harm without provocation to the least of his children are hated and accursed by the Maker. Those who bear false witness and work to deceive others know this: there is but one truth. All things are known to our Maker, and he shall judge their lies. All things in this world are finite. What one man gains, another has lost. Those who steal from their brothers and sisters do harm to their livelihood and to their peace of mind. Our Maker sees this with a heavy heart. Canticle of Transfigurations 1-5. So, gives you a little insight into the chantry and their commandments there, and really it's got some, other than the bit about magic, it's got some high notes similar with the 10 Commandments of Christianity, what with the whole, don't bear false witness, don't envy, that kind of stuff. I feel like most religions boil down to, at the heart of them, don't be a jerk, And it's funny because in spite of thousands of years of all these religions telling everybody, hey, the most important thing is don't be a jerk, we're still not getting it. Maybe someday. The Maker. There was no word for heaven or for earth, for sea or sky. All that existed was silence. Then the voice of the Maker rang out, the first word, and his word became all that might be, dream and idea, hope and fear, endless possibilities, and from it made his firstborn. And he said to them, in my image I forge you. To you I give dominion over all that exists. By your will may all things be done. Then in the center of heaven he called forth a city with towers of gold, streets with music for cobblestones. It doesn't seem like that'd be very convenient to walk on. And banners which flew without wind. There he dwelled, waiting to see the wonders his children would create. The children of the Maker gathered before his golden throne and sang hymns of praise unending. But their songs were the songs of the cobblestone. They shone with the golden light reflected from the Maker's throne. They held forth the banners that flew on their own. And the voice of the Maker shook the fade, saying, in my image I have wrought my firstborn. You have been given dominion over all that exists. By your will all things are done, yet you do nothing. The realm I have given you is formless, ever-changing. And he knew he had wrought amiss. So the Maker turned from his firstborn, and took from the fade a measure of its living flesh, and placed it apart from the spirits. And he spoke to it, saying, here I decree opposition in all things, for earth, sky, for winter, summer, for darkness, light. By my will alone is balance sundered and the world given new life. And no longer was it formless, ever-changing, but held fast immutable, with words for heaven and earth, for sea and sky. At last did the Maker form the living world, make men, let's try that again. At last did the Maker from the living world make men, immutable as the substance of the earth, with souls made of dream and idea, hope and fear, endless possibilities. Then the Maker said, to you, my second-born, I grant this gift. In your heart shall burn an unquenchable flame, all-consuming and never satisfied. From the fade I crafted you, and to the fade you shall return, each night in dreams, that you may always remember me. And then the Maker sealed the gates of the golden city, and there he dwelled, waiting to see the wonders his children would create. Canticle of Threnodies 5, 1-8. Thanks for joining me, everybody. I really appreciate it. I will be most likely putting this on my YouTube channel to watch later as well. So thanks for coming, and I hope you check it out again on Wednesday, and I appreciate the support. And have a good night.
Thanks for watching. To see more travel highlights of virtual destinations, don't forget to like and subscribe. And if there's a game location you'd like me to visit, tell me in the comments below. If you enjoy what I do, feel free to support me on Ko-fi.com or check out my travel stickers, postcards, and other designs on Redbubble. Links are in the description. Safe journeys, and see you next time on Travel Rebooted.